Welcome to Economic Vitality Unplugged, where we explore the people, ideas, and innovations driving regional prosperity and shaping the future of our community. I'm your host, Keith Bowers, and today we're diving deep into the intersection of science, leadership, and economic development. Our guest today is someone who truly embodies all three. Kathleen Amm is the director of the National High Magnetic Laboratory, better known as the MagLab, right here in Tallahassee. It's a one-of-a-kind facility, the world's largest and most powerful magnet lab, attracting scientists from around the globe and driving innovation right here in our region. Kathleen, welcome to the podcast. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you, Keith. I'm really happy to be here today, and I really appreciate the invitation to join the podcast today.
Yeah, we love having you on the show. Ever since you've arrived here in our community, there's been just a lot of buzz about your leadership and your past experience. So if you don't mind, we're just going to spend some time having a conversation about that, and feel free to talk about any other things that you feel that may be interesting to our community. So let's start at the beginning. You've had an incredible career in physics and engineering. What first sparked your interest in science, and how did that path lead you to the MagLab?
I was inspired to go into science and engineering at a very early age. I have the privilege of having a father who got his PhD in geophysics at MIT, and he studied the moon rocks. So he got to go to NASA while he was doing this. So when I was a child, I had all these wonderful pictures of the Soyuz and the space station coming together and men walking on the moon and that kind of thing. So between my father being a scientist who, earned a very good living working in the oil industry and geophysics, and those wonderful moon pictures, I did, and I was good at math. So I always thought it'd be good to go into a career in science, to be able to have a great life and learn about the universe and all the wonders and support my family. So that's sort of when it started, and continued in high school taking science classes, and then went into mathematics and physics as an undergraduate, and went to the University of Illinois, where I met a professor, Professor Justin Schwartz, who was a young professor at the time, who got recruited to come down here to Tallahassee when the Magnet Lab was founded. I actually worked at the Magnet Lab as a graduate student working on high temperature superconductors. It's really exciting to be able to be here at the founding of the lab and get to work on the magnets in the early days and do my experiments and set up brand new labs. So that was a great foundation that I got here at FSU at the MagLab, and got my PhD here in condensed matter physics. And from here, I went up to upstate New York, and then I worked at GE Global Research in the group that worked on developing MRI magnets. And I became a project leader. And then eventually I was running the magnet group there after a period of time. And it was really exciting to be able to work on developing magnets for MRI systems that really could help save lives, discovering cancer in people, or working on solving the mysteries of the brain and helping people get healthy. So that was very exciting. And after being there for almost 20 years, I ended up going to Brookhaven National Labs to run the magnet group. And there I got to learn about the accelerator world and building very large projects. These are like billion-dollar projects that need magnets to be built for. So I got to work on the electron-ion collider there with my team, and also an accelerator upgrade project that was developing magnets for CERN, which was very exciting over in Switzerland at the Large Hadron Collider. And then this job opportunity came along to be the director of the MagLab. And I thought, what an amazing opportunity, to get to span the whole world of magnets, which really we do here at the Magnet Lab, not just MRI, not just accelerator magnets, but everything. So I applied for the job, and I was blessed and given the opportunity to take on this wonderful assignment and lead just a brilliant group of scientists, engineers, technicians, incredible administrative support staff. It's a great place to be.
That's awesome. That is very, very impressive. Your career trajectory, just that path is amazing. And the thing about it is so nuanced. I mean, just out of curiosity, how many people on the planet know as much about magnetics and physics as you do? I would think that would be a small number.
It's a very good question. I'm sure there are people that know a lot more about it than I do. Just to be very, very honest. I mean, my specialized area of superconducting magnet development, I do know enough to be dangerous, I would say. I just was doing a review today with the FermiLab folk and helping them out with one of their projects. But I just love it. And we're a very small, tight-knit community, the magnet community. We get to see each other all the time. We talk about that a lot. And building big magnets is really, really challenging because you have all of these really big challenges. Like these things get really, really cold, like as cold as outer space, with enormous forces on them that are cycling while you're ramping the magnet up to its field and down. And it's just like the combination is really tough. And if something is wrong inside of it, you have to warm the thing back up to room temperature and take it apart and figure it out. So I'll say in my career and working on magnets, I've learned a lot about all the things that can and will go wrong. And what I've learned is that the whole community does that. And these are really challenging beasts, these magnets. So we always are, figuring out how to do them better. And it's amazing to me, to think about the tens of thousands of MRI magnets that are sitting in hospitals around the world operating seamlessly. I mean, that really is a really incredible just to see how a very complex technology like that, something as cold as outer space with all these forces on it, has eliminated exploratory surgery in the world so that people can just get imaged in these things and then treat it. That is such an incredible accomplishment that's been made in the medical space.
Yeah, that is just mind-blowing. And kind of talking about some of your experiences in the past with Brookhaven National Laboratory and your research at GE Global Research, what have been some of the biggest lessons or surprises for you as a leader in such a technical, high-stakes environment?
Well, when I was talking about these things that are as cold as outer space and have huge forces on them, like many elephants, as we talk about a lot of stress on these things that are huge forces on it when they're working. So you have to really plan and organize things very well and be ready for the unexpected, because it's amazing to me when we're starting a project on a magnet, we'll do an exercise to think about all the things that can and will go wrong. And then what are you going to do to keep that from going wrong? And so you spend a lot of time thinking about that up front and then putting that into your plan and trying to fit that in a tight time schedule, because, you're trying to deliver a product when you're in a company, especially. But even in DOE projects, you have a window that you're trying to fit this thing in to get the science going. And same here at the Magnet Lab. So planning is really, really important, but you've also got to be really nimble in your plan, because when something does go wrong, which it will, you need to be ready to respond. And one of the things that I found very interesting, and I think this is a really good practice at GE, when we were building a new magnet, and we would do 2 prototypes, and we sort of space them about 4 months apart, so that you'd be doing the first one and something might go wrong that you learn because it's the first time you're doing it. And then you'd have the second one that you could fix it in because it's like 4 months behind. So you go, aha, this is a problem. Well, now you can go fix the second one. And that would help mitigate risk. But it's really hard when you're only building one. But then you have to deal with it. That's why you have to think about all the things that could go wrong up front and try to address it before it becomes a big problem. So planning, I've learned to be a really good planner, but the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. and that does happen in high risk, high reward projects for sure.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, the MagLab is a true gem, not just for Tallahassee, but the entire country and the world, as a matter of fact. Can you help our listeners understand what makes this place so special?
We have such a large number of magnets that are available at the world's highest fields. So we have a magnet here that can go up to 45 Tesla, which is like 45 times stronger than a junkyard magnet. So this is like a really, really big magnet. And what we can do is we can measure all kinds of amazing materials in these types of magnets. And we have other ones that go up to fields in between, and we use them all the time. But measuring those materials, we can discover all kinds of things about electronic components. If you think about raising the temperature on ice, right? You have ice that can then change to water that then changes to steam when you boil it. Well, when you put things in a magnetic field, it can actually change the properties of the matter that you're measuring. So you can understand like something might be a semiconductor and then it changes to an insulator, or it's a superconductor, which is a material that has zero resistance, and then it turns into a very highly resistive material. And all kinds of wacky and wild things can happen in these magnetic fields. And when we study the properties of these different electric materials and magnetic materials, like things in your magnetic memories that you have in your computer, for example, we learn all kinds of things about them. So then we can use them in electronic devices. And so many of the things that you have in your cell phone today were probably studied at the MagLab over the past 30 years at some point. There's this amazing material called graphene that is starting to be used in electronics today that had huge amounts of study and research going on at the MagLab in the early 2000s. We also do study chemistry and chemical molecules to understand how batteries work and improve battery performance. We have partnerships with companies like Samsung to do that. And that is also very important to work with industry to help them develop materials. We also are working with a number of these amazing compact fusion companies that are trying to deliver endless energy to the world. And we're helping them to understand how the superconductors behave and how the cables behave that go into the big magnets. They're using our expertise to move their technology forward rapidly. So there's a lot of really interesting things going on here that span the gamut from the MRI imaging at the highest fields in the world of different types of disease states in mice and rats, all the way to developing the quantum computers of the future with the quantum materials that we're studying in our 45 Tesla magnet, for example, and working with fusion companies to make magnets. So it's a pretty exciting place.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's a special place. And I learn something new every time I do a tour or talk to people that are associated with the MagLab. And it's just phenomenal. And it's amazing that this is taking place right here in our community.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned Samsung, and that's just one example of a partnership where the research has led to commercialization and I assume job creation. Any other partnerships that you're at liberty to talk about that have led to some significant breakthroughs and economic impact?
We have had a longstanding, I would say, relationship both as a supplier to us as well as a co-developer with Oxford Instruments, because Oxford Instruments develops some of the most complex superconducting magnets and also instrumentation for superconducting magnets in the world. As they've been developing technologies, we've co-developed them together. We've also just purchased things from them that then went into one of our big superconducting magnets as part of it, or part of a combination resistive superconducting magnet. And we have a very strong partnership with them right now on a high temperature superconducting material that we're looking to see how we can potentially get higher field magnets over 20 Tesla into laboratories around the world. So we're working on that together. As I was saying, we're also working with many different fusion companies as well to help them on developing their things. And we're also looking at new opportunities that are out there to say, another example, I should say, in our mass spectrometry ICR group, they do a huge amount of collaboration with Bruker in developing advanced instrumentation in partnership with Bruker that then goes into mass spectrometers around the world. They also do a large amount of research for oil companies who are looking at the chemical composition of their products and how do they make them better and understand what the chemical composition is in their materials. And that's been a long-standing partnership with industry through our Future Fuels Institute. And they play a key partnership with oil companies around the world in that space. So these are great things that are going on now, but we're really looking towards the future and more business partnerships. We want to attract companies to the city of Tallahassee. We also want to help companies that are here in the city of Tallahassee as well further develop themselves and start up new companies with ideas that people may have in the community or at the university with professors and researchers thinking up ideas to start their own companies here as well as startups.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect place for it. The proximity for the MagLab, the access into the universities here, FSU, FAMU, the College of Engineering. I mean, we just have so many resources and assets that it is just brimming with opportunity here, which leads to, like you stated, commercialization of these ideas that have long-lasting global implications. So this is cutting edge technology.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that we have one of the best leaders in technology transfer leading our technology transfer group here, Valerie McDivitt, who's just a phenomenal leader. And her team is just doing an outstanding job in developing partnerships. So if you're interested in the MagLab, you can reach out to her, reach out to me, or Mike Campbell, who's a phenomenal leader on her team. We love to work with companies and help you find solutions to your problems.
Well, behind every lab coat is a career journey. How is the MagLab helping to cultivate the next generation of scientists and engineers and innovators?
We have a wonderful student and postdoc population. And one thing that we've just started up recently, I'm really excited about this. We've always had sort of a great student group, and we have a wonderful student here, Dana Richter, who has been championing how do we really get the students together to do activities that they want to learn together, to develop their careers, to network more, and all of that type of thing. And one thing that we're doing is we're actually helping them as they're getting, especially, further on, and they may be looking for a job, either, in academia or in industry. They have very good connections, of course, to academia, being here at FSU at the MagLab, because their professors have big academic networks. But in industry, we're bringing that here as well. And one thing I'm really excited about is I had an old friend from GE who's now a chief technology officer at a magnet company, and he's actually going to be our first guest speaker that comes out to the MagLab to talk to the students. He's hiring a bunch of people, and we're going to get him and his recruiter out here in the fall. So we're really also trying to teach them about the jobs in industry and how to get a job and how to write your resume and make it less scary for students and postdocs who are out there looking, especially with the challenging environment we're in right now for jobs. We want to make sure that they know and can go to a broad range of jobs, either in academia or in industry. So we're really focusing very much on that as well. And also on networking and getting them to know each other better. And every time we have a meeting of the students, more and more students come to it. So they're really excited about this initiative.
That's great. And that's interesting that you should say that, because I think it's important for our listeners to understand that it's a holistic approach that's being implemented at the MagLab that cultivates that talent, prepares them for careers, and is not just geared towards the scientists that come, but you're building a pipeline. And I think that's important.
Well, our people are absolutely critical, whether they be our students, our postdocs, our researchers, our partners. We are a very collaborative environment, and we want this to be the best place to work and just make it a really positive experience for everybody who's come into our building, whether you're a user, a student, or an employee here. So we're doing a lot for that and employee engagement and development. So we're really excited about that. And we're also working on a whole new learning curriculum too for our employees. So we'll be able to make it even a better environment and help them develop their careers here at the MagLab.
Yeah, again, that's just amazing. So looking ahead, what's on the horizon for the MagLab? Are there any upcoming projects or priorities that you're excited about?
Oh, we have a lot of great opportunities right now. I think we're at a very, very unique point in time for the MagLab, for Tallahassee, for FSU. I think we're already at the heart of the quantum revolution that's going on right now with the new quantum initiative that President McCullough has kicked off here at the university. The MagLab does a lot of experiments in this space, and there's a lot of great talent that FSU is hiring to research in this space, and they'll be doing a lot of their experiments here at the MagLab. I think also, like I talked about before, with what's happening with the development of commercializing fusion power and making fusion power a reality, I can't talk too much about it because there are, agreements we have with companies and confidentiality and that kind of thing. But we're definitely very active in that space, and we're talking to those companies and figuring out what is the future of fusion going to look like, and what is that going to look like for the state of Florida? Because I think Florida is poised to be a major player in the space with the MagLab being here, with the growing population, the growing needs for power, all of that type of thing. We're also, between the quantum revolution, the AI revolution, and needing cryogenics, and that sort of brings in the superconductivity too, that can bring better power efficiency, and with fusion devices that need that. There's a lot of things that we can look at in this whole low resistance, zero resistance kind of regime. And there may be, data centers that use quantum devices that are going to be cooled with cryogenics. And so we want to be playing a critical role in that too. And we have discussions going on with multiple players in this space as well. So there's a lot of very interesting things that are happening. And I should also say too that FSU last year has received funding to establish a hydrogen hub here at the College of Engineering. So we can look at things that are cooled with liquid hydrogen as well, which is very exciting because that's a very useful temperature. Many of the fusion plants are going to operate at 20 Kelvin with cooled helium gas in that case, but we could do experiments at 20 Kelvin very easily over there. And that'll also be important for the emerging cryogen cooled aviation stuff as well, that could be superconducting or could be just cooled systems, but with fuel cells and very efficient aircraft. So there's a lot of really interesting things going on here right now that I think that FSU and the FSU-FAMU College of Engineering and the MagLab are going to be critical players given our technology.
That's amazing. So we're going to wrap up with a lightning round, just a few fun and fast questions, if you don't mind. So what's one discovery at the MagLab that blew your mind?
One that blew my mind. Oh, that's a good question. I think for me, well, this is kind of a funny one, actually, I guess I should say. We have this wonderful thing that my communications director put together called Magnets Matter. And one thing that really blew my mind is that we actually studied these worms that make super glue. I never realized there were worms that made super glue. And
Wow.
it actually like spits a super glue out to go glue its prey and eat its, so it can go get it. And apparently we studied that in our NMR system here at the MagLab. So that kind of blew my mind that, like, first of all, there's a worm that squirts super glue. And then now we understand the chemical composition of that and may be able to like harness that for advanced systems and things. So
Wow.
It's kind of a wacky, weird one, but that's what popped to mind first when you asked me that question. But I'm pretty blown away by the fact that we can have these really high field magnets that stay together and work, and we're able to measure things in it safely. That kind of, I think, is really impressive.
A super glue worm. Oh, that's a new one. So, so next question. What's your favorite part of the day and why?
I am a nighthawk, so I really like the evenings. I'm not a morning person, definitely not the morning, but I love the evening. And also I love to connect with people. And a lot of times in the evening, you can do networking events and talk to people and go out with friends. Last night, I was out with two of my colleagues and we were talking about all kinds of things. It was a lot of fun, especially safety and Disney World. So that was really great.
Okay. And finally, what advice would you give to a young student who's curious about science?
Oh, I would say the sky's the limit. Don't lose that curiosity. And there's lots of opportunities, at places like FSU and the Magnet Lab to come and learn with all kinds of programs we have, or to do internships. Just take advantage of the things that are out there that you can go do. If there's summer camps in science, those are always fun when you're younger. But don't get discouraged if there's a boring, math or physics class, because that's not what science is about. Science is about that curiosity, like you said, like going and figuring out what's going on out in the universe. It's about building things for the future and taking things apart to figure out how they work or why it's broken and fixing it. So there's a lot of really interesting things you could do. So I encourage you to keep the curiosity. Come and visit the MagLab. We're open for tours on a regular basis out here. And every year we have an absolutely incredible open house too, that we had like 10,000 people out here in February for. So I encourage you to come out to those events. For kids, we have science nights as well throughout the year that are really fun, where you can do some fun hands-on activities to learn about magnets and science. And it's a great opportunity to get to meet some of the wonderful people that work at the Magnet Lab. So encourage you, if you're in the Tallahassee area, to take advantage of those. Or if you're traveling through, just come and stop by. Like I said, we do tours on a regular basis for people, and we love to talk about and show our amazing science that's happening here at the lab.
Wow, that's great advice. So in closing, Kathleen, it's been such a great conversation with you. And thank you for sharing your time, your insights, and your passion for science and our community. We're proud to have the MagLab right here in our region, and even more proud to have your leadership at the helm. And for our listeners, if you want to learn more about the MagLab, check out their website, is the nationalmaglab.org. Again, nationalmaglab.org. And as always, thank you for tuning in to the Economic Vitality Unplugged podcast, where we explore the people powering the future.